I want to begin with a scene that may feel familiar. Picture an ordinary kitchen in the early evening. The light is fading, the sink has a few dishes, and the day has already taken enough out of everyone. Someone comes through the door carrying the weight of work, traffic, sore knees, and too many thoughts. Another person is already there, not looking for a speech, just looking for a sign that they still matter. In moments like this, a whole marriage can lean toward warmth or drift toward coldness, not because of a dramatic betrayal, but because of something small. Have you noticed how a single tone of voice can change the temperature of a room? That is what I mean by faithful in small things. Not grand gestures, not heroic declarations, but the quiet choices that happen in the hallway, at the table, by the bed, and on the phone. Small faithfulness is what keeps love from becoming a set of chores. Small unfaithfulness, repeated often enough, can make a family feel like strangers sharing the same address. If you have lived long enough to have a few regrets, you already know this is not theory. So let me ask you plainly, what are the small moments in your home that you tend to dismiss as not important, even though they keep coming back? The trouble is that small unfaithfulness rarely looks wicked. It looks like turning your eyes back to the television while your spouse is telling you about their day. It looks like giving a quick answer that is technically accurate but carries a sting. It looks like delaying a phone call to your aging mother because you feel tired and then you forget, and then a week goes by. It looks like correcting a child in a way that fixes the behavior but bruises the heart. You can still pay the bills, keep the lights on, and show up to family gatherings, and yet the warmth can slowly thin out. Have you ever sat in the same room with someone you love and felt a quiet distance you could not quite explain? Let's make it concrete. Imagine a husband or a wife coming home late. The shoulders drop, the keys hit the counter, and the body says, "I'm done." The spouse at home says, "Can we talk for a minute?" The tired one hears it as another demand, another task, another thing to handle. The words come out sharper than intended, and the eyes are already elsewhere. The spouse at home goes quiet. Nothing big happened, but something inside them closes a little. If that happens once, it can be repaired easily. If it happens every week, it becomes a habit of distance. Here is a short dialogue that shows the wrong approach, the kind most of us have slipped into when we are worn out. "Spouse, can we talk for a minute? I've had a hard day. I've been working all day. Can't you see I need space? Give me 10 minutes to breathe, and then I'm all yours." If you can, try a phrase like, "Give me a minute, I want to hear you," or "I'm not at my best right now, but I'm here," or "I don't want to answer you with a sharp tongue. Can we start again?" Those are not fancy words. They are small doors back into closeness. Why do we fail in these small things, especially as we get older? Part of it is fatigue that has been building for decades. Another part is pride, the quiet feeling that says, "I have earned the right to be left alone." Sometimes it is fear. We fear that if we open ourselves to someone else's emotions, we will be swallowed by them, or blamed, or asked to fix what we cannot fix. Habits also have their own gravity. If you have spent years responding with sarcasm or retreating into silence, your mouth will go there before your conscience catches up. Does any of that sound like your home, even a little? One wise teacher once warned that a harsh word is like a spark in dry grass. It may be small, but it runs quickly where you did not intend. That is why gentleness matters most when it feels inconvenient. Gentleness is strength under control, directed toward care. It may help to keep a few simple phrases ready, especially for the moments when you know you are about to speak from irritation. You could say, "I spoke too sharply, please forgive me," or "I'm not trying to win this, I'm trying to understand you," or "Help me see what you mean because I'm missing it." Have you ever noticed how quickly pride melts when someone says, without drama, "I was wrong"? Now let's turn to parenting, because small faithfulness shows up there in a different way. Picture a child spilling a glass of milk, or forgetting homework, or lying about something small because they fear punishment. The parent sees the mess and feels a surge of frustration that is not only about the milk. It is about the 100 other responsibilities, the money worries, the noise, the fatigue. The parent corrects the child, but the correction becomes a kind of public humiliation. The child learns the lesson, yes, but they also learn that mistakes make them unsafe. Here is another short dialogue, again with a wrong approach that is easy to fall into. Child, I didn't mean to, it just slipped. Can't you pay attention for once? Let's clean it together, and next time we'll move the cup farther from the edge. It also teaches the child how to respond when they fail. If you can, consider saying, I'm not angry at you, I'm dealing with the situation, or let's fix this together, or mistakes happen, we learn and we try again. When was the last time a young person in your family heard you speak to them with steady respect, even while correcting them? Trust is built and lost in small moments because the heart remembers patterns, not speeches. A child may not remember your long advice, but they will remember whether your face became dangerous when they made a mistake. Your spouse may forget the details of an argument, but they will remember whether you listened like a friend or spoke like a judge. An aging parent may not bring up their loneliness directly, but they will remember whether your voice on the phone sounded rushed, as if they were an item to check off. If you are honest, where have you been faithful, and where have you gone on autopilot? Let me speak as someone who struggles too. I have caught myself being efficient with people I love, which is a polite way of saying I am present in the room, but not present in the heart. I have also delayed apologies because I wanted the other person to go first. That is pride, plain and simple. Do you ever find yourself waiting for the other person to soften first, even when you know you could end the coldness with one sentence? Now think about friendship or about caring for an aging parent. There is a particular sadness in later life when relationships thin out. Friends move away, health changes, and the circle gets smaller. In that season, small acts of care become more powerful, not less. A 2-minute phone call could be a lifeline. A message that says, I thought of you today, can keep someone from spiraling into isolation. Forgiveness also becomes urgent because time feels more real. Is there someone you have not spoken to because of an old wound that now seems smaller than it did 10 years ago? Imagine an older man sitting in his living room looking at a silent phone. He tells himself he does not want to bother anyone. He has learned not to ask. Or his daughter or his son assumes he is fine because he does not complain. Meanwhile, a simple call could change the whole week. If you can, try a phrase like, I don't have a lot of time, but I wanted to hear your voice, or I've been thinking about what happened between us and I want peace, or if I hurt you, I want to understand how. Those words do not solve everything, but they open a door. There is also a gentle thread here about money, and I want to handle it carefully. Money is not the enemy, and it is not a savior. It is a tool, and tools can be used to protect love or to control people. Sometimes fear about money makes us tighten our grip, and that tight grip can squeeze the warmth out of a home. A spouse asks for something small, and we hear it as a threat to security. A child makes a mistake that costs money, and our reaction becomes disproportionate. Have you ever snapped at someone, not because of the purchase itself, but because of the anxiety underneath it? Consider a couple looking over bills at the table. One says, we need to be careful, and that is true. The other hears, you are irresponsible, even if it was not said. The tone and the assumption do the damage. In that moment, stewardship can serve love if it is practiced with respect. You might try saying, I'm feeling anxious about expenses, and I don't want that anxiety to turn into harshness, or let's plan together so we both feel safe, or this is not about control, it's about peace in the home. A wise teacher once said that a person can keep every coin and still live in poverty of heart, while another can live simply and still be rich in warmth. That is worth remembering when the budget conversation starts to sound like a courtroom. So what is the way out? It is not a dramatic reinvention of your personality. It is a return to small faithfulness practiced deliberately. If you are willing, here are a few very practical habits you can try, and I mean try, not perform. Choose one first response phrase for tension and use it every time you feel your voice rising, such as, I want to answer gently, give me a moment. I'm sorry. Hmm. Can we restart? It asks us to step down from the throne of our own irritation. Another wise teacher once warned that the heart grows in the direction of whatever it excuses most often. If you excuse sharpness, sharpness grows. If you excuse cold silence, silence thickens. If you excuse small kindness, kindness becomes your normal. Which direction do you want your home to grow, especially in the years ahead? Let me slow down and ask you some direct questions, just as if we were sitting together and you had time to think. When you walk into your home, what is the first expression your face gives to the people there? If someone in your family said, "I feel safe with you," would you believe them or would you quietly doubt it? When you feel tired, do you become honest and gentle, or do you become efficient and cutting? Is there one apology you have been postponing because you want to be right? If you called one person today, who would feel less alone because of it? This is not about guilt. Guilt can be loud, and it often burns out quickly. This is about building something steady, a warmth that lasts because it is fed in small spoonfuls every day. You do not need perfect words, but you do need a willing heart. If you can learn to pause before you speak, if you can learn to repair instead of defend, if you can learn to treat small moments as sacred, your home can become softer even if the world outside stays hard. Here is your one concrete challenge for the next 24 hours. Choose one person in your family or close circle and give them a small act of faithful attention that costs you something minor, like 5 minutes, a humbled tone, or a quick apology. You could say, "I want to hear you, tell me what's on your mind," and then you put the phone down and listen. Or you could say, "I was wrong in how I spoke earlier. Please forgive me,"